Hello everyone, welcome to our, we're from ForgeRaw. Welcome to our latest webinar, which is called How to Build a Continuous Improvement Culture Using Real-Time Data. My name is Chris Iveson, I'm founder and CEO here at ForgeRaw. I'm joined today with my colleague Oliver Pogmore.
Good morning.
Who's our Head of Business Development, and Craig Meadowcroft, who is our an Operations Improvement Manager at Hanson Springs.
Morning everyone.
So we've got a lot to cover today. We've got loads to go through. There's 4 parts to this webinar. The first 3 we're going to try and whiz through in half an hour, and then the 4th one, which is the main event, is a conversation with Craig. So first of all, we want to just get everyone into the right mindset, and it's all around basically talking about kind of getting into the operations management versus continuous improvement mindset.
Yeah.
Second stage is talking about the importance of having data when driving continuous improvement. And then we're going to move on to step 3, which is we're announcing the ForgeRaw Productivity Accelerator, which is going to be an accelerator for all ForgeRaw customers, free of charge. And we're going to guide you through it today. And then afterwards, we're hoping that we're going to get lots of our existing customers signing up for it. And then finally, we'll be hearing from Craig about his experiences driving a culture of continuous improvement across several manufacturing businesses in the northwest of England. In terms of who we've got on the call, we've got lots of existing customers, and we've also got non-ForgeRaw customers, but hopefully everyone's a manufacturer. And so if you're an existing customer, please do sign up for the Productivity Accelerator. If you are a non-existing customer, then we just hope that you manage to take away some really interesting bits and pieces from the call. So let's dive in. I should say, I guess we've, you can put comments and questions.
Yeah.
We'll see them a little bit late, but we'll respond to them as and when they come through. So let's dive in.
Yeah, awesome. So I think it's probably worth saying we were wondering what to sort of discuss at this point. We knew we were doing this webinar. We wanted to be around the culture of continuous improvement, and then we saw a post, didn't we, that just seemed to hit a bit of a chord with us. We thought that's quite relevant. I think I tagged you in it, Craig, didn't I? As a bit of a heads up almost. But we saw this, and it was all about that operational management versus continuous improvement. Sort of kind of thing. I'll just share our screen with you now and show you the post. Hopefully you can see that.
But Roland Glue.
Yeah. If Roland's watching, yeah, thanks for the material. But he's looking at it from a consultancy point of view and saying, do you do ops or CI? And as you can see here, what the argument really is if your operational leaders can't do continuous improvement. And like we've just said a second ago, actually, and just before chatting before, it's very much a people problem. How do we get the continuous improvement mindset throughout the whole of the business? And we just thought this was really a great point to make and discuss. I guess, Craig, I don't know if you have views on that. Do you see it as like a, almost an ops versus CI? Do you go into places and see one more than the other? Or?
Well, I wouldn't say the versus one another. For me, in my experience, they've been heavily intertwined throughout my time in manufacturing. Like you said, if you don't have one, you can't have the other, sort of thing. As operation managers and leaders, we've got to be seeing that we are moving forward with the times in terms of manufacturing, the continuous improvement side to it. So what new tools are out there, or existing tools out there that we can share with our stakeholders, and more importantly, what suits our business needs, because not everything out there can suit your business needs as well. But definitely operations management, continuous improvement, I'd say they're definitely intertwined.
Yeah, the both two sides of the same coin, I guess. I really like the quote here. If your operational leaders can't do continuous improvement, you don't have operational leaders. You have custodians of the status quo, and you need to be taken care of today.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're always under pressure to improve, because we're in a competitive marketplace. And so in terms of continuous improvement, that just has to be something that has to happen as well. So we just want to sort of make that point, set the scene. And
I think it's something we've seen. The reason why we wanted to do this webinar on culture is when we look across our customers. We've sort of got over 150 customers using ForgeRaw now. They're all in manufacturing, and we see it as it's almost a bit of a downfall, isn't it, over a lot of customers. We have really successful customers that do this really well, that seem to have the mindset, and then we have the others that maybe you know, they want the visibility. They come knocking on our door. They're looking for data because they want the visibility just to start with. They need to start seeing something. But then they kind of get tripped up at the, well, what do you actually do about it? Once you've got the data, where do you look? What do you improve? It's kind of like a sticking point then.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's why we thought this webinar would be useful. It does kind of take us on to the next bit as well, which I'll just I'll switch back to us for a second whilst I sort that. But it's basically talking about the role of data, isn't it? Within I guess within the continuous improvement environment, in manufacturing environment. That, like we say, that there's a lot of people that just don't have that fundamental view of things. You know, when we find ourselves asking the question, how many hours do your machines spend producing actual stuff that you need to make, the product, and people don't know. You know, and it's such a fundamental piece of information that obviously that we provide. But yeah, it's something that.
And just adding a bit more onto that as well, Oliver.
Yeah.
You know, if we're looking at data like that, but we don't know how we collate it, or you know how a standard machine runs, it's all about getting in the trenches. Get a pen and paper, go a bit old school, and engage with those operators as well. That'll help back up your data as well at the same time.
Yeah.
So you've got to have that buy-in with that operator. Say, look, this is what we're trying to achieve. This is the data that we're trying to collect. You're the local expert, and that's a very key point. You're the local expert on that machine. You know it inside and out. You might even know some shortcuts to make it run quicker, so you know you can relax a little bit, which is absolutely fine. You're making it run more efficiently, but it's all about engaging those operators, those teams, and getting those ideas out and taking them on that journey with you as well.
Yeah, and that's because the data only really tells half the story. The data can sort of give you some pointers, some insights, and you know, some bits and pieces. But you need that engagement from the shop floor, from the people that are actually doing the work, and you need their buy-in, because if you're going to make some changes, you want them to be on the journey with you.
Absolutely.
I think that's why we prefer to find people at the point where, you know, where you say, like, you know, go a bit old school if you have to, like, get the pen and paper out there and record something. We love it when people come to us and they're already doing something.
Yeah.
You know, when they're not doing something, it's quite hard because nobody's used to anything. If they are doing something, if there is a pen and paper, they know the advantage of getting some data. Yeah, it might not be that accurate. It might be difficult. It might be a bit time consuming. But they know the value of it. And we were talking to a large aerospace manufacturer yesterday, and they were saying that they'd had £200,000 worth of improvements off pen and paper. You know, they'd not long started doing it, but off pen and paper downtime reasons, they'd actually, you know, made great improvements of it. But they're sat there saying there must be a slicker, faster, better way, essentially, which is obviously why we were speaking to them. But it's a great thing to see when they know the importance of the data and they just need to.
Like I said, if you build on the fundamentals, the basics, then yes, you can start progressing into, let's say, for example, ForgeRow and stuff like that. But you've got that historical data to back that up then. And when you do see that data on a live feed, you go, oh yeah, I recognize those figures, and I recognize that downtime, that uptime, so on and so forth. So not only is it a benefit for the business, but it's a benefit for you to understand the processes, the procedures, but also the people that actually run those operations as well.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, fair point. Okay, so does that bring us across to the Productivity Accelerator?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Do you want to pull the?
Okay.
So we're announcing the ForgeRow Productivity Accelerator, which aims to sort of blend the data with the continuous improvement mindset, and that's exactly what this is all about. So once Oliver gets around sharing his screen.
There you are.
So Productivity Accelerator, it's sort of a 6-step process. The first 3 is kind of what you can sort of do. It's all around collecting the data and communicating the opportunity. And then the second 3, which we'll bring up in a second, it shows kind of how you can guide your teams through it and how you can identify the right opportunities and then act on them. So step 1 is very much about benchmarking your performance. It's about, you know, getting some data from, you know, on your machines. It's about understanding how productive you are as a business, and where your machines are doing really well, where your machines are doing a bit less well. Yeah, that's sort of step 1. And we say that's important because a lot of our people who kind of who get ForgeRow, we see it all the time where we will ask them, you know, how productive do you think your machine's running? You know, how much time do you think you're losing each day?
Yeah.
You know, and always they'll go, oh, we're about 80% productive. Yeah. And then they get ForJaw, and ForJaw tells them actually you're about 40.
Because they're
And
always,
they go,
thinking
"Oh my
about
God."
they're always thinking about the job, aren't they? They know there's a job on there for 80% of the time.
Yeah.
But how effective is the machine throughout that job
It's
period?
those
You know,
hidden hanging fruit. So
Yeah,
let's just say
yeah.
you're meeting your quotas and your monthly budgets and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
we're making budget, we're doing all right here and what have
Yeah.
you. But when you actually get some tech data put behind it, and you think you're running at 80%, which is, by the way, world-class manufacturing,
Yeah.
and you see it's at 40, you know, that should be a light bulb experience. You say, wow, we can actually gain so much more than where we are now at this moment in
Yeah.
time.
Well, people always feel two things. They go, "Oh shit, we're nowhere near as good as we thought we were."
Yeah.
But actually, "Oh shit, we've got a huge opportunity to improve here, and we don't need to buy more machines, employ loads more people, and all this kind of stuff.
Exactly.
We can be doing more with what we've got."
Exactly.
That's the moment, isn't it? Yeah.
So that sort of step one is really, really important. It can be quite a light bulb moment, and then that sort of leads nicely into step two, which is communicate the opportunity. You know, we're at 8, we thought we were at 80, we're at 40. You know, if we can get to 50, that's massive.
Yeah.
Yeah. How are we going to do that?
Yeah.
That's, you know, and so again, and that's all about getting buy-in from the different stakeholders across the business. And 40 to 50 isn't about just working harder. It's about changing things to work smarter, to remove issues for people. You know, so that actually you're focusing on the machine. We heard a really nice little analogy the other day, which is they see their machine operators as like surgeons.
Yeah.
And so, you know, a surgeon doesn't go off and, I'm not a surgeon, but a surgeon doesn't go off and get their own scalpel.
Prepare the blood.
and prepare the blood and all that kind of stuff. They're there at the machine, the human, and they're going, gives a scalpel, gives a spanner, whatever, you know.
They come in, make the cuts, and then leave, don't they? You know, everyone cleans up after them, everyone gets them prepared, and they come in and do the important stuff. And you know, we always used to use the Formula One analogy, didn't we? You know, pit crew and all that.
Yeah.
But the surgeon one is nice, and it makes
one,
sense, isn't it? It's you know, get the machines, and if they're involved operators working.
Definitely one of the tools that I've used in my experience, and I probably may touch upon this in the last half an hour in a session, is the Tim Woods model. So it's all about the waste that you can identify. So definitely, you know, you're looking at transportation, motion waste, training waste. There's so many variables before you say, right, we're going to have to chuck some money at this and stuff like that. So I always definitely go off the Tim Woods syllabus and, you know, see what improvements we can make there, quick wins, get the buy-in, and then, you know, we take it to that next level then.
Yes, fair point. We always tried our best to talk about the quick wins. You know, if when people first sign up to a platform like ForJaw, it's you know, how do we quickly get something so that the operators can feel the impact of what the businesses they've been listened to. Something's changed. It's made your life better. And it's that what's in it for them moment, isn't it? For the operators, just as much as there is for management. It's everybody. Like you say, it's a people problem that we need to tackle there, isn't it?
So then once you communicate the size of the opportunity, and hopefully you've got plenty of buy-in across various different stakeholders in the business, it's all about just labeling the downtimes. So of that, let's take the 40 and 80% kind of opportunity. So of the lost reasons for productivity, what are they? Yeah, and that's all about the ForJaw tablets, you know, in front of the operators, or pen and paper if you're doing it without ForJaw. You know, it's about recording what are our reasons for lost productivity. Is it machine breakdowns? Is it operator unavailable? Is it, you know, inspection? Whatever it might be. Because that then gives you the information that you need to then uncover continuous improvement.
Yeah, and like we said, you know, this is where we kind of, the reason why we've got half of it on now, isn't it? That we kind of see people get stuck here. You know, it's just, well, we wanted the visibility and we've got it. And then it's, and you know, you're almost dealing with the live issues that are happening, which is a great thing. There's small improvements to be made for sure. We see people do it all the time, but it's that, you know, the big impact you can make is probably off the longer term, bigger decisions.
And I don't know if you would recognise this, Craig, but we see quite a few ForJaw customers. They have they kind of get stuck at the labelling downtime stage. So, you know, kind of, because it's very easy to go, we need more downtime reasons. We need more downtime reasons. We're looking for 100% downtime completion. And actually, in a lot of cases, that's not practical. And you don't really need 100% because you're trying to build a general picture of what's going on. So we always sort of say, look, aim for 60. You can get above 60%. That's sort of pretty good. That gives you a decent amount of data that you can use to then, you know, do something useful with.
I mean, it's going back to, you know, getting in the trenches and actually engaging with the operator on the shop floor, on the machine. And, you know, you might just do a case study for a couple of days. So spend some time with the actual people and say, what sort of downtime do you get? And, you know, you'll take a few notes or what have you, and then you'll just monitor and watch throughout the shifts and the days and maybe the full week if you do.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you can start getting some historical data then. So right, on this certain process, we get this different type of downtime and then so on and so forth. And then basically that can build your picture up on ForgeRow then and say, look, this sort of department or this process, it only has like 10 or 11 types of downtime and stuff like that. And then, you know, that's it then. But again, it's an experience for yourself to go out there and a learning opportunity rather than, you know, sitting in your office and trying to think what the downtimes could be. I'll talk about it again. I don't want to go too much into it, but I'm probably about 5% of my time sat behind my desk. I'm always out in the trenches, speaking to people here, there, and everywhere. And you know, I'm still learning myself. It's a continuous learning cycle that we go through in manufacturing. So there's always something new. There's always a different challenge, so on and so forth.
So then once you've labelled your downtimes, then you can move on to step 4, which is actually let's do some analysis. Let's actually look at the data that we've got and let's identify some of the projects, you know, that we might want to tackle. And we're going to take you through how to do that. Obviously, once you've then identified the continuous improvement projects, you need to be able to track your progress against that. Fairly common sense. But then I think a step that is quite often skipped is once you manage to have some wins, you need to celebrate them.
Yeah,
you need to be able to communicate the wins across the business, because then that shows everyone that actually this is worth doing. And then you go again. Yeah. So again, anything to add on that? Or
definitely on the celebrate and, you know, the recognition. You know, I've worked on quite a few projects in the past where, you know, we've either saved a lot of production time or we've saved quite a lot of money over the year. But it's all about, you know, holding those people account who were involved in those teams, and more importantly, who are the local experts, the operators anyway. You know, it could be gift vouchers or anything like that. It could be an internal reward, trophy, or whatever it may be. You know, you'll be surprised that, you know, people on the shop floor are not always wanting to chase after more money and stuff like that. A pat on the back, a well done, a thumbs up from all stakeholders is just more than enough for that as well. So I'm definitely very important part of the projects that you do.
That's a bit of insight in it.
I remember hearing from one of our customers a few years ago that the thing that he used to motivate his operators most was football stickers.
Right.
Just for whatever reason, they just love the football stickers. So anyway, so being able to do this gives you a structured, repeatable process to accelerate your productivity and, you know, to demonstrate measurable impact across your factory. And there's obviously, you know, key reasons that you might want to do this. There's massive impact you can have. So I mean, our latest case study is from one of our customers, Lister Windows, and as a result of going through this process, they're now manufacturing 250 more windows every single week. Think how many houses that is. That's massive.
Well, and that's what we want. You know, again, like Chris said at the beginning, we know there's some customers probably watching this or watching this back. And some, you know, non-customers, people that may know of us, speaking with us or whatever it might be, but it's really asking the question like, what does a 10% increase look like for you, for where you work now, for what you're doing? Because for a lot of people we speak to, it's obviously it's a significant thing to go after, one way or another. You know, whether it's the quality of life for the people in the trenches, you know, on the shop floor, whether it's you know, better for the business profitability wise, it's all of that. And what does it look like for you is really what we want people to think about, because it's that end goal of what can be achieved, what should be achievable with you know, following the right process, doing the right thing.
Absolutely. So just looking at time, it's 10:20. We've got until 11, and we'll leave plenty of time for a chat with Craig. So should we dive in?
Yeah, shall I pull up the actual toolkit?
Yeah, sounds good.
So I guess we've not really explained fully that there's sort of a difference here between the toolkit and the productivity accelerator. The accelerator is a bit of a program. You know, how can we encourage our customers to think about this sort of stuff, to go after the right things, to see them first and follow that loop that we've just been looking at. And then one of the most effective ways that we've found we can help people do this is using our API, essentially, which all an API does is just connect up our data to other things, in this case, an Excel sheet. So this Excel sheet is all about pulling data live from the platform and giving you options to then look into I guess, the left-hand side of that circle that we were looking at there, where we're identifying, what to go after. That's where this spreadsheet comes in. Yeah. Anything to add?
Only that anyone who goes on the productivity accelerator will be working with our customer success team through this, and they'll get access to the spreadsheet. They'll help you set up the API and get it all hooked up for you. And then yeah, basically this is what you're going through.
Yeah. So yeah, if anything in here looks a bit, I'm not sure if we could do that. Yeah, don't worry. The support is there. As most of you will know, it's included in there, and they're sort of, ready and raring to go to help you do that.
And we should say Craig's not seen this.
No.
You should probably be sat in the middle so that Craig can see it.
Yeah, you should do. But yeah, you might find it interesting. I mean, you're probably thinking about this sort of stuff. Maybe you've got your own way of doing this already.
Yeah.
A lot of our customers do. It's just very much for those that maybe don't, or want a bit of a maybe it's a slicker way because it's API connected. Is the idea.
Well, I think it's a good tool anyway for even if you have certain businesses that have got that experience of building those tools and that, but other stakeholders within that business, and you can share those ideas as well. So I think it's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah. So yeah, if we just break this down a bit, as I say, it's an Excel sheet connected to the API, connected to your Forge or data. You've got 4 tabs along the bottom. One where you kind of set the things you want to look at. So you set what area of your site you want to look at, the date range that you want to look over to essentially get a bit of a baseline, where are we working at? So that's what comes up next in the baseline summary. You get to see where things are at, which we'll show you in a second. We then identify via a heat map sort of where certain downtimes are happening. So which machines have what kind of downtimes happening across that period. And that averages things out over a per week basis. And then we move on to that project overview that you can see there at the bottom, which is all about deciding what you're going to go after and figuring out, okay, if we were to reduce that by a certain amount, what would that look like for us? So it's a really good way of kind of tracking through that. So we'll show you a bit of this as we click through. Anything else like that, Chris? Have I missed anything?
I think so. It's all good. So only the data that feeds into this is just Forge or demo data.
Yes.
It's not live data from a real customer. Your data may differ quite substantially from this, but just
based on a bit of loose truth, wasn't it, from the early days of Forge?
Yeah.
A customer or two might have been similar to this. So as we can see here, we've, like I say, this is connected up to our API. So this is data coming through for a certain period. What did we have in there? We had June in there basically. So we're looking back a few months now. Then we can see the sort of headline stats. So we can see, the utilization for that period. We can see what productive activity is. So that's uptime plus any downtime that's essentially labeled as a productive downtime. So that the useful downtime is sometimes referred to it as.
Things like machine setups, things that you have to do.
Yeah, non-value added. That's what they are.
Yeah, so we've got those headline stats. We can then see across the machines how utilized they are. We can see that productive activity. We can see what kind of downtime labeling rates we're getting. So if something is, of interest on a certain machine, if we see that it's actually got quite a low downtime labeling, the team can do something about that. And then over the right-hand side there, we're essentially seeing how far each one is away from the average. So we can see that there's, certain machines where the utilization is lower than the others. Productive activity certainly is by a long way on some of those, like that. There's Mazaks there.
And again, you'll be able to use your own, data tells half the story.
Yeah.
You'll be able to use your own knowledge about what's going on the shop floor as well to complete the story.
Yeah. So once we've got that baseline, we can then move over to the downtime heat map. And as I say, this then is showing us what downtimes are happening across which machines. Obviously, the darker red, the higher the number essentially. And it's all ordered. So down the left-hand side of all the machines, you'll get your highest one at the top, the most downtime machine at the top, and then same with the downtime reasons. Over to the left, you've got the highest one. So as we can see, a good example here is inspection. That might be first off inspection. It might be something else, depending what you've got labeled up. But we can see that there's, clearly on a weekly basis, 134 hours
of machines stood still, waiting for the inspection to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so very clearly, you know, that's kind of a really broad across the shop floor.
Yeah, there's only a few machines without it. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, across the shop floor, there's an issue with inspection.
Yeah.
So let's go dive into that. And then the second one is operator unavailable, which is interesting because actually that's only really happening on 3 machines, really.
Mm.
Yeah, maybe 4.
4 at push. Yeah.
And so that could be a more targeted approach that you could go into. But then also what you can see, you know, if you go along the rows, you can obviously see if one machine has got lots of different issues. So it gives you a really nice way of ordering where your problems are, and obviously it's color coded so that you know you just go for the dark stuff, the darker reds. So yeah, so that can be really useful.
Yeah.
And you can dive into that. You can use all the wonderful bits and pieces of Excel to kind of dive into that. And then you can move on to your project overview.
Yeah. So when you're looking at this, you want to have that project overview in mind, don't you? You want to be thinking, you know, what do I want to maybe go after here? You know, like we've just said, maybe we're thinking about the inspection. In this case, you might go ahead and think, actually, I want to select maybe just a few machines over something there. So you want to be looking at this, thinking about what would be good to go after here. What else do I know? What other information? What else am I hearing from the team?
Yeah.
You know, who have I spoke to about certain things in here is probably what's going through people's minds. But yes, as you know, Chris says, that takes us over to the overview now, and that's exactly what we're doing here. So we're deciding which machines we're interested in, so we can just toggle these on or off, and you can see the data over the right hand side will start to change. We have, yeah, for the sake of this this webinar, we've already selected inspection here, but you can see you can add multiple things on if you want. So if you after you know changing a few downtimes collectively, you can do so. And then essentially what we're saying here, which I've already said briefly, is that we are then going to sort of look towards reducing that by a certain percentage. So if we're going for a inspection, 50% reduction. If it was an operator being unavailable, you might sit there and say 95%. You might actually start in really small chunks with certain things you're going after. You know, you might want to start going, what does a 10% reduction look like?
I was going to say, thinking back to that loop, what you don't want to do is, and what can be really common is you go bold and you go, we're going to reduce inspection by 50%.
Yeah.
Fail miserably, and you go, I'm never doing that again. You know, so actually you're probably better off starting at say 10 or 20%. And again, it's all contextual, but start off small, have some wins, and go again.
It's like you said, you've got your measure, you're measuring the data, right? You're saying that inspections are biggest downtime. Let's go and actually see for our own eyes what the actual process is itself. And the operator might identify something pretty quickly. Or I haven't got a truck, I'm always waiting around for a truck and stuff like that. Or we've only got one tool between 5 of us, so on and so on. And it could be the most basic thing possible, but your ForJo's already picked that up, and it's sort of a headshot for you, where it's guiding you. The data is guiding you where to go and look and where to investigate and potentially improve them.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
And that's it. It's you might not know. You might have an aspiration of what you want to put in here. Until you go speaking to people, you don't really know. When you start finding out those little bit, you might find that there is a small thing happening that actually, if we were to change that or invest in this or change the way we process something, organize ourselves, you start chunking that down quite a bit. And you can go back and play with it. Of course, it's like we say, it's connected up, right? So it's quite easy to chop and change, but like you say, it just gets people thinking, gets people looking in the right place, and then organizes the team around actually going after it, which is the main thing, isn't it? Yeah. Anything else that we've not covered there, or
it's just more kind of so in this particular instance, we've said that we're going to target inspection across all of the machines, and well, you're shooting 50%, which is ballsy.
It is.
Yeah.
That's me.
Let's drop that.
I know there's some issues with the process that are obvious.
There's a quick win, is there?
That's what I'm going with. Yeah.
There's a quick win. There's going to half inspection.
I know there is. Yeah, I've spoken to the guys already.
All right. Okay. Nice one.
Do you want me to reduce it?
Oh, you can do. But effectively, what this is doing is it's about putting numbers against. If you were to manage to hit that reduction, then actually, what does that mean for the business in terms of gained productivity or potentially cost savings? Because they're obviously the two levers that you can pull when you get more productive. You get more through your shop, or you can save some costs. And so we've got so we're looking at what we put there, 20%.
20%, and it's coming out. Yeah, I mean that's according to that baseline data over June, was it? 107 hours per month. that we could potentially unlock there if we just reduce it by 20%.
And an average, I think
Significant.
you've got it in kind of input into the getting started tab. Yeah, I think you've got £100 per machine hour.
That's right. Yeah, £100. Yeah, that's what it is at the moment. Yeah.
But actually, if it's a cost, if you want to save some costs, then we've reduced that down to £30. Yeah, and these again are very specific to whatever your machines are and what you're doing.
Yeah.
But assuming that you use those 107 hours productively, then you will be gaining £139,000 or £140,000 a year just by reducing inspection by 20% across the business. But if you actually went for the cost savings, then it'd be £42,000. Yeah. So that's all about being able to communicate the size of the pie. You know, right? Let's get behind it. Let's see what we can do. You know, and then go again. Thoughts?
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's definitely something similar that I've used in the past as well, where I've looked at a specific changeover, where a changeover's took 60 seconds, a minute. We've not specifically aimed for a target, but we've changed the way we've done this changeover. So when we collect spring coil, we used to use the hook, and then open the safety gate, transport it out, and then transport it back in again. Took 60 seconds. We now use a manipulator now, so it's a lot quicker. It's health and safety as well. We've reduced that changeover time to 20 seconds. Wow. So over the course of the year, we save 12 days of production time per year. So, you know, you might think something's insignificant or it's minute, but it's a massive gain over the 12 months.
What do the operators think? Is it easy for the operators?
Oh, they love it. Yeah, because it's
a change for them and the business.
Yeah, so we've had to invest in some equipment, which is a 2-year ROI, which is fine.
2 years is good in business.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to aim for anyway. But it's a lot easier for them just to move this manipulator in, collects the coil, come out, rather than trying to get a hook in and they're having to use PPE. No, they're about half a metre away from the actual equipment now, so it's a lot more safer for them. And it's lost less stress on the back and trying to weave in and out. The safety gate as well, instead of moving, opening 90 degrees, it's sliding door now. So little things, it's all about using common sense at the end of the day.
Yeah. That's very cool. Good example. Yeah, okay. So I guess this brings us on then to measuring this after the event. When you go after something, when you go after, in this case, inspections across all machines, obviously we're looking at baseline data here, and what would it be like if we were to change that, improve that. And one thing that we've recently released, it was asked for a fair bit from our customers, I think. A lot of people were trying to take information out again via our API and sort of doing this somewhat manually, weren't they? But what we really needed in the platform for everybody was downtime over time, which is exactly what we're going after. You know, when we're talking about this productivity accelerator, we've picked our thing. We're interested in inspection. I don't have a graph for it, so I'll create one. But what you can do is essentially go through and plot that inspection time. You know, what does that look like over the last half a year per week? We know roughly where it's at with the baseline sheet, certainly for the month that we're talking about there in that baseline example. But you know, what are we going to do? We're going to go after stuff. We're going to go talk to the team. We're going to go after stuff and try and reduce that time. And is it working? You know, what are we getting it down to? Are we achieving the 20% or 50? 50 maybe. I would hope. So yeah, excuse me. Really easy to get this information in there. So if I just make it big for the sake of the webinar, so you guys can hopefully see it clearly, it's really easy for us to go in here, add that widget in. You'll see it if you are a user. You'll see it when I just added it in there. You'll see it, you know, labeled up with a bit of a new ticket on it, showing that it's fresh. It's not long been released. And again, I can select the whole factory in our case. If I was selecting certain machines, then I could do, if we were wanting to track something over that time. I would obviously rename it to inspection, for example. But what I can do here is just go through and go and find it. Inspection. So yeah, I've done it over 180 days, looking at only on shift time here. And we're going to group it in hours per week. And there you go. Okay, so something really interesting has happened here. Maybe that's demo data.
Probably,
for
probably.
inspection. But this is where you can see, you know, the 150, 140 hours that we've almost forever had against inspection. And then, you know, obviously you have to use your imagination here
We
slightly.
did the CI and we did the project at end of August.
You gave me a call and I came in.
So yeah, Craig sorted it out. We had basically zero inspection, waiting for inspection time.
Then as soon as I come out the office, it goes back up again. What's going on?
I don't know. Maybe you come back in. Maybe you're back off holiday. I don't know what it is. But yeah, so this is the beauty of it, and you can see, you know, we've got some examples up top here of us doing things in a few different ways. You can split things per cell and track them. You could have multiple machines on here trending over time if you were tracking something across, you know, 5 machines or something like that. But it's really easy to kind of measure the changes you're making. Yeah, is the end of it, isn't it? That's really what we want to say here. So yeah, hopefully that gives you a bit of an idea of, for existing customers at least, of what you can do today, what you can go after. And when you do speak to our customer success team, and if you are interested in the Productivity Accelerator, this is what we want to get you to, being able to measure the changes you make.
Don't forget to celebrate the wins.
Yeah,
that's always important.
Very important.
And also don't forget to go again. You know, it's not a one-time thing. It's a continuous improvement loop. So so we're going to send out some slides after this. In the slides, there's a link to, you know, if you want to join the Productivity Accelerator, then you can. Are we all right, James? Are we all right to pop the Productivity Accelerator in the? I don't know if they're listening to me. James,
headphones on.
Dave, can we put a link to the Productivity Accelerator in the notes, please?
I will do that.
Nice one. Cheers. So yeah, if anyone does want to sign up, then it's just a web page and just pop your details in, and our customer success team will get in touch with you. So all good. Cool. All right. Let's move on to, well, is that everything?
I think so. I think we've covered everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we got 20 minutes, slightly overrunning, but yeah, let's move on to the main event, which is basically a conversation with Craig.
Yeah.
So we didn't know whether to put you first or last. We weren't we last, but trying to keep people interested. Do you mind telling us a little bit about Hanson Springs?
Yeah.
But also, you know, a little bit about your journey that's kind of got you to where you are, and your background.
Yeah. So Hanson Springs have been manufacturing springs, believe it or not, for the last 60 odd years, but we specifically supply into the gas and oil industry. We're worldwide customers, mainly in America.
Yeah.
So it's a family-run company, really nice place to work with good people who look after each other, like you were saying before, celebrating the wins together. So it's a very cohesive environment, which is, you know, sometimes can be quite alien to a manufacturing environment. So it's pretty nice, a bit of fresh air there.
Yeah.
In terms of myself, I've probably been in manufacturing now about 14, 15 years. But my previous role before that, which I think has helped me through my manufacturing career, was I was a football coach. I coached football in America, up and down the West Coast. So we go back again to dealing with different people, backgrounds, characters and stuff like that.
And
it
makes sense now you're saying that. It makes sense why when you say you're so people focused. You know,
exactly. Yeah, I think it's definitely the backbone of my skills in my locker anyway, for where it's got me through anyway. So yeah, came back there. I ended up being an operator down at a local manufacturing site. This was a very successful company. It was one of the biggest privately owned companies in the world. But what I was exposed to very early on was lean manufacturing. I thought, well, what's lean manufacturing? I'm coming here to do my job. I want to go home and, you know, that's it. But what it really showed me was lean manufacturing is common sense. And we use it in every single aspect of our lives, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And it was sort of another light bulb experience for me where, you know, I could do some good here. I'm enjoying my work here, and let's get involved with some teams and stuff like that. So over the course of that 10-year period that I was with this company, I managed to move up the ranks, become team leader, become a trainer, a manager, a lean assistant, and then briefly a plant manager as well. So it definitely gave me the tools and the experience of what a world-class manufacturing site looks like, and potentially help me in my future career, wherever I may go after that. So I've been to a few other companies since then, stayed in textiles, and then I moved over to something completely different, which is construction manufacturing. So taking myself out of that comfort zone and experiencing something completely different. But what really helped me was the fundamental tools that lean manufacturing and people management gave me, that I was able to transfer my skills over into a different industry. So it was a really good, challenging experience in there. And then after that, I went to a company up in Burnley, which is automotive. So sort of coming back home in terms of the auditing side, the process procedures, IATF auditing, BSI, all that stuff that I was very familiar with at my first role. And then this year, 31st of March, that's when Hanson Springs got the hook and clawed me in.
Yeah.
And
But it's really nice from our point of view, someone like you joining the team there. Obviously, we've been with Hanson for a while now, and someone like you coming in and working the way you work. We're trying to always hunt down people like you wherever whatever manufacturer they may be at, because we know how effective people can be.
Yeah.
Especially with that, when we're thinking of our interests with the tool.
Yeah, so definitely part of my role, as well as the continuous improvement side, is driving those teams and holding them to account with smart targets, action plans. But more specifically, if you're going to do an improvement, or you're going to say you're going to do something, don't just leave it and then come back to it in a month's time and stuff like that. Because what you've got to remember is everyone watches you, from shop floor to higher management. If you're going to do something, stick to it, be persistent. You might be successful, you might fail at it, but always see it out as well. And I think it's very important to have touch point meetings and stuff like that. I mean, for example, what we do at Hanson Springs, we have daily SKU meetings, which cover safety, quality, cost, delivery, inventory, and people as well. So I don't lead those meetings. I let the people lead those meetings. So you've got your managers, you've got your supervisors, and I'll just come in the background and I'll have a nose in. I'll pick a few bones here and there and stuff like that. Yeah. But what it does, it gets you into that routine as a team and as a business that we do have meetings, but we're not having a meeting about a meeting about a meeting. And this meeting ain't going to be an hour and a half as well. Yeah. It's a quick huddle, 5-10 minutes, right? What's happened in the last 24 hours? This is the next 24 hours. Right, off we go. Here are our actions. Boom, 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 boom. Away we go. So that's probably, in a nutshell, what I've been doing over the last 15 years or so.
Nice one. Thank you very much. And so obviously you kind of learn about lean, continuous improvement, that sort of stuff. And then it feels like that's kind of been quite key to you progressing through your career.
Yeah.
As you've gone through, which has been great. And then you've been to various other manufacturing businesses. I guess when you walk into a new business, for example, like you did with Hanson earlier this year, do you often find that they're sort of stuck in, thinking back to the LinkedIn post that we started with, are they often stuck in operational mode, and they see continuous improvement as kind of a something else, or actually are they all trying and actually they just need your support and your help and your guidance?
I think it's a mixed bag, really. You always want to improve as a business. You always want to increase your turnover. You want to upskill your people, so on and so forth. But also at the same time, you might have things that you're having to firefight, and you're stuck doing that firefighting when really you want to do those blue sky projects.
Yeah.
So for me, it's all about using the tools that I've had experience with. You've got value stream mapping. Have a look at your whole business spectrum.
Yeah.
Break down every single department and process if needs be, and actually look at where your biggest wastes are. I always say look at your top big three. Okay, you can't do everything overnight, and especially this could be like a 12-month or a 3 to 5 year business strategy itself. So once you really identified what the actual wastes are, you could put it into a tool like the Japanese use, which is Hoshin Kanri. It's developed by Toyota. And I might come out with some of these Japanese words and stuff like that, but it all boils down to common sense. It breaks down what you want to achieve, but into little segments. How do you achieve that? And then you move on to the next small bite size. How do you achieve that and stuff like that? Yeah. So in answer to your question, like I said, it's a mixed bag, really. They are trying to juggle and balance the two at the same time, but it's all about using certain tools to get everything organized and make sure everyone's aligned on that journey.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And I guess what are typically the biggest barriers when when you enter a manufacturing business and you're trying to make some changes. Changes are often quite difficult to do. What are the biggest barriers?
I think everyone can agree with me on this webinar, but it's definitely the culture, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You might be in a business where people have worked there for 20, 30, even 40 years, and they don't know life outside of that work environment. So it's very difficult for someone to come in and, be full of beans and, yes, I'm going to improve this, we're going to do this, we're going to do that.
Yeah.
But you can't do it on your own. It's impossible to do it on your own. I'm no Superman where I can, click my fingers and, we save X amount of money and so on and so forth. So for me, it's all about the people. They don't naturally like change. So when I always go into a new business, I usually spend the first month or month and a half and I build a case study for myself. I get to know the people, processes. I might spend a day with certain operators, certain teams and stuff like that, and have the opportunity for them to get to know me as well. Don't forget, we all go on our breaks and stuff like that, and maybe sometimes managers and operators might alienate themselves. Start mingling, start talking not just about work, but outside of work as well. What are your interests, what are your hobbies? And I'm really talking about the people side of it.
Relationship building.
But you've got to build that foundation as a leader or a manager to empower them to see what you want them to see, essentially. And that's to make more improvements, make their life easier, but come together as a team to achieve that.
Any shortcuts, any quick wins, or like is it just you just got to put the effort in? You've just got to.
I think we can all sing and dance about it, saying, "Oh yeah, this is the beauty of it all." But really, for me, in my experience, you have to put the time in, put the effort in.
Yourself.
Just be yourself. You're not going to get everything right. You're going to get a few things wrong. But that's when you pull people in as part of your team and stuff like that. You get advice. They may have more experience on a process or a procedure, and that's really a good learning curve for you as well. So when you do come across a certain challenge again, that's similar like that. You already know what that answer potentially is going to be as well.
I think that hits. I think it hits across a lot of our customers again. Those that find it difficult, they are up against a culture that doesn't want to get involved. They've never had to get involved for 30 years, 20 years, 10, however long. It might have just joined. It's never done it. And I think that's maybe that core skill that they could do with having someone that has it, learn it themselves or whatever. But that going in on the ground, speaking with them, building that relationship, getting them to feel a bit more part of what the process that you want to build, that attitude, like we say, it's the mindset of continuous improvement, of making a change, making it better. And it's, how do you convince people that? But it is just that legwork, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Just good old fashioned. Go off a little bit of subject, but I'm going to use Elon Musk for example. Obviously, he owns Tesla, but his office is a couch on the shop floor. Doesn't go home. He's a workaholic. Obviously, I'm not advocating to, live and breathe, work all the time, and that. There's got to be some sort of life balance. But
get amongst it.
But in terms of getting amongst it, in terms of engaging with his peers, not just the management side to it, but the actual operators, he's there all the time, and it might just be a touch point for him, but it's not so he can micromanage or anything like that. He's there as a support mechanism to give advice, to motivate people as well at the same time.
Fair point.
Absolutely. But I guess, so you've gone in, you've built some relationships, you've got the foundations there, you're then trying to drive a continuous improvement project. Can you share a time when a change initiative maybe hasn't quite gone to plan and what you learned from it?
I would say starting at my first role, where it was a world-class manufacturing environment, and I learned so much there in that 10-year period, really enjoyed my time. But obviously it was time for me to move on and make something of my own. And I went to another company that was basically a blank canvas in terms of technology, health and safety, quality, all that good stuff that you want to see as the bones of your manufacturing. I would say I was a little bit naive at the time, which is not a bad thing, but I thought that I could just transfer everything that I've learned and implement it straight away. And I'm going back to what I previously mentioned about people been at the same job for 20, 30, 40 years, that they don't know anything different. So I quickly hit a brick wall straight away.
Find yourself saying, at my last place we did it like this.
Yeah,
At
but
my last place.
we used to do this, we used to do that. Oh no, we don't do it here, pal. Not like this. And
Yeah.
so I had to basically recalibrate myself and, understand the actual business itself, but understand their culture as well, how they operated. And then it was slowly but surely looking at small, easy wins that was blatantly obvious. For instance, there were a lot of SMED improvements that we had to look at. But yeah, I'd say that was a good learning experience for me, where I thought, yeah, I could just chuck all this in and be happy and have my feet up and, be the superhero and stuff like that. But yeah, so lesson learnt there.
It's there's a built-in limit to the pace of change.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
You would think that if a business really wanted to, they could, but it's just not that simple when you've got people and machines and
But it leads nicely into the next question, which is striking the balance between top-down direction and bottom-up ideas. And I think when we spoke a few weeks ago, you kind of articulated really nicely that actually getting the ideas from the people on the shop floor gets the buy-in, which accelerates the change.
So you increase that pace of change by doing top to bottom.
Exactly. So one of those tools that I've used in the past is, you might have a certain space on the shop floor, but we had something that was called OFI zone, which is opportunity for improvement. So anyone, it could be from directors down to shop floor operators. If you have an idea, it could be something to do with health and safety, or it could be something in general. They could write something down and pop it in. They could either do it anonymously or put their name down, and then the improvement team would come and review that, but also give feedback to that individual as well. So that's sort of another mechanism that you could use from managing between shop floor and management. But also what's really good, when you do create these teams, these improvement meetings, have a mixture of people in. Okay, you may want to improve something on the shop floor, a machine or a changeover or what have you, but drag a few people from the office upstairs, get them involved. It might not be anything to do with them, but it's one, fresh pair of eyes. Two, it's management and shop floor operators collaborating together, sharing ideas, getting to know each other and stuff like that. And I think, like you just said, mingling is a very important aspect of manufacturing these days.
Yeah. No, 100%, 100%. And so I really like the kind of the OFI board. Great. Get the ideas, then work out what you're doing with them. And once you've then, I guess, made some improvements, once they're in place, how do you stop people slipping back into sort of the old way of doing things, or let's call them bad habits?
Yeah, it's the hardest part of a project when you want to improve things. Sustainability. So a classic where you go and improve an area. Excuse me. Let's just say, for example, you do a 5S project. So you've organised your workstation, you've cleaned it all up, you've got the correct tools. You go, right, done that. I'm just going to walk away, and then 2 days later, it's a pigsty again.
Yeah.
How do you get that control and that sustainability? And for me, it's all about empowering your managers, your supervisors to hold weekly and monthly reviews. It's just about holding people to account and ensuring that they stay on course throughout that journey. It's another culture scenario.
People to hold each other to account.
Yes, exactly. But you've got to be in the background as well, driving that. Have you done those audits? It could be like a simple 5S audit. It could be a monthly review of a machine, and you're looking at the data, for example, from Forger and stuff like that. So it's all about empowering those certain stakeholders, but keeping on top of them as well. So basically, you're auditing the auditor itself.
Yeah. No, nice one. Thank you. And I guess final question, unless there's anything you want to add. What 3 pieces of advice would you give an ops manager starting out in their own continuous improvement journey?
I would say, what I've developed over the year, I've developed my own philosophy in terms of how I go into a business, how I engage, and how I improve. And I'm quite, I wouldn't say rigid, but I'm quite structured in that approach now, because it's worked at a few other areas. So my first message would be to definitely be consistent in your message. Tell the people who you are, what you're about, and give them the opportunity to see what you are and learn from each other that way.
Mhm.
It is all about a learning experience first and foremost. Don't be tunnel vision scope where you think, no, I know this inside and out. Trust me, you don't. And you could be the
You've tried
smart.
that.
You could be the tried that, massively
Didn't work.
failed. You could be the smartest person there, but really you've got to get yourself into that culture, understand the people to get the best out of what you want to achieve.
Yeah, yeah.
And just moving on to that, understanding the people, the processes. We're all human at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know, we're not robots. We come into work, okay, and then, you know, some of us might leave work and work goes out the window and stuff like that.
Mm.
For some people, it's a place to socialize,
Yeah.
to link up with friends, so on and so forth. Obviously, we know that we're there to work and that, but I think a very good manager knows how to build relationships, and I won't class them as friendships because obviously we don't want to get too friendly and, you know, let other people get away with things and stuff like that. But if you can build a certain amount of trust and they sort of know who you are and what you're about, I think that's very, very important in that. And I'd say the final thing that I'd say is it's okay to fail. The amount of times that I've failed over the last 10, 15 years is I've had more failures than I've had more successes, put it that way. Like I've been saying to you over the past couple of weeks, my technical knowledge is about 5%, and the 95% is all about engaging with people and having that drive and determination. So if you do fail, it's all about how resilient you are as well, because again, you're being watched from people from the shop floor, from people from management, but you've got to be resilient, but learn from those experiences as well, and that pushes you forward. Like I said, if I didn't make so many mistakes in my career, I definitely wouldn't be where I am now to this day. So it's massive, massive for us.
And I think there's loads you can take from that, not just in manufacturing, but in life.
Yeah.
I would say if you're not winging it, you're not trying hard enough.
Yeah.
You know?
Don't tell everyone that.
But it's true. You always need to be pushing yourself a bit further and a bit further.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
So yeah, thank you very much, Craig. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think we've covered everything. Yeah.
Cool.
Good bit of advice at the end there for everyone.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Mm.
So yeah, hopefully you've got a lot from this webinar, and you know we've certainly enjoyed doing it. Thank you very much to you, Craig, for coming
Thank
in.
you.
And,
Thank
and
you for
also,
having me.
you know, thanks Oliver, as always. Anyone that does want to get into the Productivity Accelerator, please do sign up. We'll be sharing the slides, we'll be sharing the webinar, and feel free to share it far and wide with whoever you think might enjoy watching it. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, I think that's everything. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys.